The massive warship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark cloud promising thunder. Commander Zorax of the Galactic Dominion stood on his bridge, all four of his arms crossed in satisfaction. Below him, the blue and green planet spun slowly, unaware of what was about to happen. "Such a primitive world," Zorax said to his second-in-command, Yilith. His voice sounded like grinding metal. "The humans barely have fusion technology. This will be easier than taking candy from a hatchling." Yilith's tentacles writhed in agreement. "Our scouts report their military forces are scattered across their single planet. No unified space fleet, no energy shields around their cities. They still use chemical rockets." She made a sound that passed for laughter among her species. Around them, hundreds of Dominion ships materialized from hyperspace. Each one bristled with plasma cannons and antimatter bombs. The combined fleet represented enough firepower to turn a moon into dust. Against Earth's defenses, it was like bringing a laser rifle to fight someone armed with sticks. "Send the message," Zorax commanded. A communication beam shot toward Earth, hijacking every screen, radio, and communication device on the planet. Zorax's grotesque face appeared everywhere at once. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence as he spoke in perfectly translated languages. "Humans of Earth, I am Commander Zorax of the Galactic Dominion. Your planet has been selected for harvesting. Its resources will serve the greater galactic community. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. Resistance will result in the complete destruction of your species." In a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Sarah Chen watched the alien message with her staff. The room was deadly silent. Officers stared at screens showing the massive alien fleet. Some had tears in their eyes. Others clenched their fists so hard their knuckles turned white. Colonel Martinez whispered, "What do we do? We don't have anything that can fight that." Sarah Chen stood up slowly. At 55 years old, she had seen war in all its forms. She had fought in Afghanistan, commanded forces in Syria, and led peacekeeping missions in Africa. But this was different. This was the survival of the human race. "Get me a direct line to that ship," she said quietly. "General, we can't possibly." "Did I stutter, Colonel?" Her voice cut through the despair like a blade. "Get me that line. Now." Within minutes, her communications team had managed to establish contact. Zorax's face filled the main screen, his 6 eyes focusing on her with amusement. "Ah, a human military leader. Have you called to surrender?" General Chen smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile that made her own staff step back. "No, Commander Zorax. I called to give you 1 chance." The bridge of Zorax's ship erupted in laughter. Dozens of different alien species found the idea of a human threatening them hilarious. Zorax himself chuckled, a sound like breaking glass. "1 chance? How amusing! Tell me, human, what chance could you possibly give us?" "Leave," Chen said simply. "Turn your ships around and never come back. This is your only warning." The laughter stopped. Zorax leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "You dare threaten the Galactic Dominion? We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We have technology beyond your comprehension. What could you possibly do to us?" General Chen's smile grew wider. "You want to know what we can do? Let me tell you about humans, Commander. We're not like other species you've conquered. We're different. All species claim to be special when facing extinction," Zorax scoffed. "No, you don't understand." Chen stepped closer to the camera. "We evolved on a death world. Do you know what that means? While other species developed in paradise, we grew up fighting. Every day was a battle for survival. Predators, diseases, disasters. Our planet tried to kill us constantly. And we won." She paused, letting that sink in. "We're not the strongest species. We're not the fastest. We don't have natural weapons or armor. But we have something else. We have rage. Pure, unstoppable, human rage. And do you know what triggers that rage more than anything else?" Zorax remained silent, a flicker of unease crossing his features. "Threatening our home," Chen finished. "You just made the worst mistake of your life. Enough of this nonsense, Zorax roared. You have 50 minutes left. Surrender or die. The transmission cut off. General Chen turned to her staff. Every eye in the room was on her. She saw fear, yes, but also something else. Hope. They believed in her. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, we're about to show the galaxy why you don't mess with Earth. Colonel Martinez, activate Protocol Omega. General, are you sure? We've never tested it on this scale. We don't have a choice. Do it. Across the planet, hidden facilities came to life. These weren't on any official military records. They were humanity's secret, built after first contact with peaceful aliens 20 years ago. Humans had smiled and shaken hands with their galactic neighbors, all while preparing for the worst. Because humans knew something other species didn't. Peace never lasts. Someone always wants what you have, and when they come for it, you'd better be ready. In orbit, Zorax watched Earth with contempt. The planet showed no signs of mounting a defense. Their primitive satellites floated uselessly. No weapons platforms. No shield generators. Nothing. Perhaps they've decided to surrender after all, Yelith suggested. No, Zorax mused. That human general, there was something in her eyes. Continue scanning. I want to know what they're doing down there. Sir, a tactical officer called out. I'm detecting energy signatures from the planet's surface. But they're strange. I've never seen readings like this. What kind of energy? Unknown, sir. It doesn't match any known technology in our database. Zorax frowned. That was impossible. The Dominion had records of every type of technology used by every spacefaring civilization in the galaxy. There was nothing new under the stars. On Earth, General Chen stood in the command center of the Omega Protocol. Around her, scientists and engineers worked frantically at controls. The main screen showed a web of energy lines spreading across the planet, connecting hidden facilities on every continent. Power levels at 60%. Dr. Patel reported. The quantum entanglement field is stabilizing. How long until we're ready? 20 minutes, General. But I must warn you again. We don't know what will happen when we activate this at full power. The small-scale tests were one thing, but this. I know the risks, Doctor. Chen watched the alien fleet on another monitor. But those ships are going to glass our planet if we don't act. How many people are in the shelters? 70% of major population centers. We couldn't get everyone in time. Chen closed her eyes briefly. Billions of lives hung in the balance. The weight of it pressed down on her shoulders. But she had carried heavy burdens before. This was just one more. Continue the evacuation. And Doctor, make sure this works. Back on Zorax's ship, panic was starting to spread. The energy readings from Earth were increasing exponentially. Whatever the humans were doing, it was beyond anything the Dominion had encountered. Sir, should we attack now? Yelith asked nervously. No. Let them waste their energy on whatever primitive defense they think will save them. When it fails, their despair will be all the sweeter. But doubt not at him. That human general's confidence bothered him. No species facing extinction should be that calm. That's certain. 20 minutes crawled by like hours. On Earth, evacuation efforts continued frantically. In space, the Dominion fleet waited with weapons charged. The tension could have been cut with a knife. Time's up, Zorax announced. Begin the attack. Target their major cities first. Leave no... Commander! The sensor officer screamed. The energy levels! They're off the scale. The view screen erupted in light. From Earth's surface, beams of impossible energy shot upward. But these weren't weapons in any conventional sense. They were something far more terrifying. The beams hit the Dominion ships and passed right through their shields like they weren't there. Because the shields were designed to stop energy and matter. These beams were neither. They were pure human will made manifest. What's happening? Zorax roared as his ship shuddered. I don't know. Our shields are useless. The beams are. They're rewriting reality at the quantum level. One by one, Dominion ships began to change. Metal turned to crystal, then to water, then to nothing at all. Some ships aged 1,000,000 years in seconds, crumbling to dust. Others reversed in time until they ceased to exist. Impossible, Zorax screamed. No species has this technology. On Earth, General Chen watched the chaos with grim satisfaction. You're right, she said to the image of Zorax on screen. No species does have this technology. We invented it. Just for occasions like this. The truth was both simple and terrifying. Humans had discovered something unique about their species. Their consciousness, forged in the crucible of evolution on a hostile world, could interact with quantum fields in ways other species couldn't. With the right technology to amplify it, human willpower could literally reshape reality. It was insane. It was impossible. It was human. All ships, retreat, Zorax commanded. But it was too late. The quantum field had expanded, trapping the fleet in a bubble of altered space-time. You want to know what makes humans special? General Chen's voice echoed across the communication channels. We're the only species crazy enough to weaponize the impossible. We looked at the laws of physics and said those are more like guidelines. We stared into the abyss of quantum mechanics and made it blink first. More ships vanished, transformed, or simply ceased. The mighty Dominion fleet, terror of 1,000 worlds, was being erased like a bad drawing. Please, Zorax begged, all arrogance gone. Stop this. We surrender. You had your chance to leave, Chen replied coldly. You threatened our home, our children. Did you really think we'd just roll over and die? This is madness. You're violating every law of physics. Welcome to Earth, Commander. We do things differently here. The quantum storm intensified. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist around the alien fleet. Some ships tried to flee into hyperspace, only to find that hyperspace no longer existed in their vicinity. Others attempted to return fire, but their weapons turned into flowers, or light, or abstract concepts that couldn't harm anyone. On his bridge, Zorax watched his empire crumble. Everything he had believed about the universe was wrong. The humans weren't primitive. They were something far more dangerous, a species that refused to accept limitations. General Chen, he gasped into the communication system. I understand now. Please, spare my remaining ships. We'll leave. We'll tell the Galactic Council to mark your system as forbidden. No one will ever threaten Earth again. Chen considered for a moment. Around her, her staff waited for orders. The power to destroy the entire fleet was in their hands. With a word, she could end the Galactic Dominion forever. But that wasn't what humans were about. They could be terrible in their anger, yes. But they could also show mercy. You have 5 minutes to leave our system, she said finally. Any ship still here after that ceases to exist. And Commander? Spread the word. Earth is off limits, forever. The quantum field relaxed just enough to allow the surviving ships to flee. They jumped to hyperspace in panic, leaving behind the wreckage of their fallen comrades. In minutes, Earth's skies were clear. General Chen slumped in her chair, exhaustion hitting her all at once. They had done it. They had saved Earth. But at what cost? General, Dr. Patel said quietly, the other nations are demanding to know what just happened. The UN Security Council is in emergency session. The whole world saw what we did. Let them talk, Chen replied. We just announced ourselves to the galaxy. There's no going back now. She was right. Images of the battle were already spreading across galactic communication networks. The mighty Dominion fleet, defeated by a single planet. A primitive world that had somehow mastered impossible technology. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with 1,000 different voices speaking in 1,000 different languages. Representatives from every major civilization in the known galaxy had gathered for an emergency session. The massive holographic display in the center showed the same footage over and over, the destruction of the Dominion fleet at Earth. Ambassador Thrix of the Centaurian Republic stood at the speaker's podium, his crystalline form catching the light. Fellow beings, what we have witnessed defies everything we know about the universe. The humans possess technology that shouldn't exist. Technology? Screeched Ambassador Velka of the Quellian hives. That wasn't technology. That was. I don't even have words for what that was. In her private viewing box, Ambassador Keiko Tanaka of Earth watched the proceedings with careful eyes. She had arrived just hours ago, transported by humanity's fastest ship. Her orders from General Chen and the United Earth government were simple. Explain nothing, admit nothing, but make sure everyone understood the message. The council moderator, an ancient being known only as the Witness, raised one of its many appendages for silence. Its voice echoed through the chamber like the whisper of stars. The human ambassador has requested to address this assembly. Ambassador Tanaka, you may speak. Kiko stood and walked to the podium with measured steps. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall, but something about her presence made even the largest aliens step back. Perhaps it was the knowledge of what her species had just done. Distinguished representatives, she began, her voice calm and clear. I come before you today not to threaten or boast, but to clarify humanity's position in the galactic community. Clarify? Roared Ambassador Zorgan of the warrior clans. Your species just violated every known law of physics. You destroyed a fleet that could have conquered a sector. We demand answers. Keiko smiled slightly. With respect, Ambassador Zorgan, we owe you no explanations. The Dominion attacked our world without provocation. We defended ourselves. That is all. But how? The question came from Ambassador Lilix of the Science Collective, their multiple brains pulsing with curiosity. The energy readings we detected, the quantum manipulation. It should be impossible. Many things should be impossible, Keiko replied. Yet here we are. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some representatives demanded that Earth share its technology. Others called for humanity to be expelled from the galactic community. A few even suggested a preemptive strike before humans became too powerful. The Witness restored order with a pulse of psychic energy. Ambassador Tanaka, surely you understand our concerns. A species with such power could destabilize the entire galaxy. Keiko nodded. We understand your fears. That's why I'm here with an offer. Earth proposes a simple agreement. Leave us alone and we'll leave you alone. Don't attack our world, and we won't use our capabilities against you. It's that simple. And if we refuse? Asked Ambassador Korth of the Hegemony. What if we decide humanity is too dangerous to exist? The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Keiko's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes made even the most warlike species shiver. Then you'll learn what the Dominion learned. We are not conquerors. We are not aggressors. But touch our world, threaten our people, and we will show you nightmares beyond your imagination. Back on Earth, General Chen watched the council session from her office. The world had changed overnight. The secret was out. Humanity's hidden strength was now known to the galaxy. Her door chimed, and Colonel Martinez entered with a tablet. General, we're getting reports from across the planet. The quantum field activation had some unexpected side effects. Chen took the tablet and scrolled through the data. Her eyes widened. Are these numbers correct? Triple-checked, ma'am. The quantum field didn't just affect the space around Earth. It changed people too. We're seeing abilities manifest in about 1% of the population. What kind of abilities? Telekinesis, telepathy, energy manipulation. It seems that exposure to the field awakened something dormant in human DNA. Our scientists think it might be connected to why we could create the technology in the first place. Chen leaned back in her chair. This complicated things enormously. It was one thing to have a planetary defense system that could rewrite reality. It was another to have millions of humans developing superhuman abilities. Double the monitoring of affected individuals. And Colonel? This stays classified for now. The world has had enough shocks for 1 week. Meanwhile, aboard the damaged Dominion command ship limping back to their home sector, Commander Zorak sat in his quarters, studying everything they had recorded about the battle. His career was over. Losing almost an entire fleet would see to that, but his scientific curiosity remained. Computer, analyze the quantum signatures again. Analysis complete. The energy patterns match no known technology. However, there are similarities to certain theoretical models of consciousness-reality interaction proposed by extinct civilizations. Zorak's 6 eyes widened. Extinct civilizations? Which ones? The predecessors. The void builders. The reality shapers. All civilizations that allegedly transcended physical existence before disappearing. A chill ran down Zorak's spine. Could it be possible? Had humanity stumbled upon the same path that had led to the ascension, or destruction, of the galaxy's most advanced races? He opened a secure channel to the Dominion's High Science Directorate. This is Commander Zorax. I'm transmitting critical data about the human defense system. I believe we may be dealing with something far more significant than a new weapon. The humans may have discovered the key to evolutionary transcendence. Back at the Galactic Council, the debate raged on. Some species formed hasty alliances, united by their fear of humanity. Others sought to curry favor with Earth, hoping to gain access to their technology. A few wise ones simply made notes to avoid the Sol system entirely. Ambassador Tanaka fielded questions for hours, giving the same responses. No, humanity would not share the technology. Yes, Earth wanted peaceful relations with everyone. No, they would not demonstrate their capabilities again unless forced. Finally, the witness called for a vote on humanity's proposal, mutual non-aggression in exchange for Earth keeping its technology to itself. The vote wasn't even close. Fear won by a landslide. The Council accepts Earth's proposal, the witness announced. The Sol system is hereby declared a neutral zone. No military vessels may enter without human permission. Any aggression against Earth will be considered an act against the Council itself. Keiko bowed slightly. Earth thanks the Council for its wisdom. We look forward to peaceful coexistence with all species. As she left the podium, Ambassador Thrix intercepted her. A word, Ambassador. They stepped into a private alcove. The Centaurian's crystalline form shifted colors, indicating deep thought. My people are scholars, Thrix said quietly. We've studied the footage of your defense. What you did. It wasn't just advanced technology, was it? It was something fundamental about your species. Keiko remained silent. The way reality bent around your world. I've seen similar patterns only in ancient texts about species that achieved transcendence. Tell me truly, are humans evolving beyond physical existence? I couldn't say, Keiko replied diplomatically. We're just trying to survive in a hostile galaxy. Thrix made a sound that might have been laughter. Survive? Ambassador, your species just turned the galaxy's understanding of reality upside down. That's not survival, that's revolution. On Earth, the changes continued. The quantum field exposure had done more than grant abilities to some humans. It had accelerated technological development across the board. Scientists reported breakthrough after breakthrough. Engineers built devices that shouldn't work but did. Artists created works that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. General Chen convened an emergency meeting with world leaders. The conference room was filled with presidents, prime ministers, and generals from every nation. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, we've entered a new age. The activation of Omega Protocol has changed our species at a fundamental level. We need to decide how to proceed. President Morrison of the Americas Union spoke first. General, your actions saved our world, but they've also painted a target on our backs. Every species in the galaxy now fears us. Good, replied Chairman Wei, of the Asian Cooperative. Fear breeds respect. They'll think twice before threatening us again. But what about the changes to our people? Asked Prime Minister Okafor of the African Federation. My nation has thousands manifesting abilities. How do we control this? We don't, Chen said simply. We guide it. Humanity is evolving, whether we like it or not. Our job is to make sure that evolution doesn't tear us apart. The debate continued for hours. Some wanted to use their new power to expand into space, others preferred isolation. A few suggested sharing the technology to build alliances. Finally, they reached a consensus. Earth would remain united. They would establish training centers for those with abilities. They would continue to develop their quantum technology, but only for defense. And they would explore space peacefully, while making it clear that any aggression would be met with overwhelming force. In deep space, strange things were happening. The quantum field activation had sent ripples through dimensions humans didn't even know existed. Ancient machines, dormant for millions of years, detected the familiar energy signature and began to wake. Beings of pure thought turned their attention to a small blue planet in an unremarkable spiral arm of the galaxy. The humans didn't know it yet, but they had just announced themselves to powers far greater than the Galactic Council. Powers that had been waiting for a species to take the first step toward transcendence. Back on his homeworld, former Commander Zorax stood before the Dominion's ruling tribunal. His disgrace was complete, but he had one last duty to perform. Honored rulers, I failed to conquer Earth, but I bring you a warning. The humans are not what they seem. They're not just another species with advanced weapons. They're something new, something dangerous, something magnificent. The tribunal leader leaned forward. Explain yourself, failed commander. They've broken the barrier between thought and reality. They can impose their will on the universe itself. And from what our sensors detected, this is just the beginning. The humans are evolving into something beyond our understanding. Impossible. No species can transcend physical law. The predecessors did. The Void Builders did. And now, the humans are following the same path. Zorax displayed his data on the main screen. Look at the quantum signatures. Look at the reality distortions. The humans have discovered the secret that elevated ancient races to godhood. Silence fell over the tribunal. If Zorax was right, if the humans were truly on the path to transcendence, then the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted forever. What do you recommend? The tribunal leader asked finally. Stay away from Earth, Zorax said simply. Let them evolve in peace, because if we interfere, if we try to stop them, we won't be facing a species with advanced weapons. We'll be facing gods in the making. And gods, honored rulers, are not known for their mercy. On Earth, night fell across continents. In thousands of homes, newly awakened humans experimented with abilities they didn't understand. Children moved objects with their minds. Adults saw visions of possible futures. Some reported dreams of vast cosmic entities welcoming them to a larger universe. General Chen stood on the balcony of her command center, looking up at the stars. They seemed different now, less distant, more alive. She could feel something changing in the fabric of reality itself, as if the universe was holding its breath. What have we started? She wondered aloud. Behind her, Dr. Patel joined her on the balcony. Something inevitable, I think. The quantum field didn't give us these abilities, General. It just unlocked what was always there. We were always meant for this. Meant to be gods? Meant to be more than we are. Every species evolves. Most evolve physically. But humans, we're evolving mentally, spiritually, dimensionally. We're becoming something the universe has been waiting for. Chen smiled grimly. The galaxy thinks we're dangerous now. Wait until they see what we become in 100 years. 1,000 years. If we survive that long. Oh, we'll survive, Chen said with certainty. We're humans. Surviving impossible odds is what we do best. And now? Now we have the power to make sure no one threatens our survival again. Above them, the stars twinkled with ancient light. Among those stars, countless species went about their lives, unaware that on one small planet, a new power was rising. A species that had looked at the impossible and said, "Challenge accepted." The age of humanity's transcendence had begun. 10 years had passed since the Day of Awakening, as historians now called it. Earth had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Cities floated in the air, held aloft by human will. Gardens grew in impossible colors. Children born after the quantum event showed abilities that made their parents look like beginners. General Sarah Chen, now director of Earth's Development Council, stood in her office that existed partially in normal space and partially in what scientists called the between. Through her window, she could see multiple versions of New York, each representing a different probability stream. Director Chen, her assistant's voice came through the intercom. The galactic observers have arrived. Send them in. The door dissolved rather than opened, and 3 beings entered. They weren't quite physical, weren't quite energy. They were members of the Observer Coalition, ancient races who had achieved partial transcendence millions of years ago. Director Chen, the lead observer, communicated directly into her mind. We have come to evaluate humanity's progress. Chen smiled. She had been expecting this visit. Welcome to Earth. Though I suspect you've been watching us for some time. Since your first quantum event, the observer confirmed, you've progressed faster than any species in recorded history. This concerns us. Why? Because we might surpass you? The observer's form flickered, possibly in amusement. No. Because rapid transcendence often leads to self-destruction. The Void Builders erased themselves from existence. The reality shapers became so abstract they forgot they had ever been physical. We would hate to see humanity suffer the same fate. Chen gestured to the window, showing multiple realities. We're aware of the risks. That's why we're taking it slow. Slow? Another observer interjected. Your species has rewritten the laws of physics 6 times in the past decade. You've created pocket universes. Some of your people exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. You call this slow? For humans? Yes. The observers exchanged what might have been glances. The lead being projected images directly into Chen's mind. Civilizations rising and falling, species achieving godhood only to vanish into nothing. Every species that has walked this path believed they were special, the observer said. What makes humans different? Chen's response came not in words but in shared experience. She opened her mind, showing the observers humanity's journey. The struggles on a hostile world, the wars that nearly destroyed them, the moment they chose unity over division, the day they stood against the Dominion, not with hatred but with determination. But most importantly, she showed them humanity's secret weapon, their refusal to lose themselves. We anchor each other, Chen explained. Every human who develops abilities maintains connections to those who don't. We share our experiences, our growth. No one transcends alone. We rise together or not at all. The observers were quiet for a long moment. Then the lead being spoke. Show us. Chen touched a control on her desk. Connect me to the global consciousness network. Instantly, her mind expanded. She felt the presence of billions of humans. Some barely changed. Others who had evolved beyond physical form entirely. But all were connected, all were still fundamentally human. A child in Tokyo was learning to phase through walls, guided by her grandmother who had no abilities at all. A man in London was creating art that existed in 7 dimensions, while his mundane brother helped him stay grounded in reality. Across the world, humanity grew together, the enhanced and the normal, the transcendent and the physical. The observers witnessed it all through Chen's connection. For beings who had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations, they seemed genuinely surprised. Remarkable, the lead observer finally said. Most species fracture during transcendence. The evolved leave the normal behind. But you. We're pack animals, Chen said simply. Always have been. A human alone is just clever. Humans together? That's when we become unstoppable. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, former Commander Zorax approached Earth in a small diplomatic vessel. He had spent 10 years studying humanity, becoming the Dominion's greatest expert on the species. Now he came with a proposition. Earth Control, this is Zorax requesting permission to enter your system. The response came immediately, though not through his communication system. The words appeared directly in his mind. Commander Zorax, we've been expecting you. Please proceed to Orbital Station Harmony. As his ship approached Earth, Zorax felt his heart's race. The planet looked nothing like it had a decade ago. Energy fields swirled around it in patterns that hurt to perceive. Ships that seemed to be made of crystallized thought moved through space. And everywhere, the signature of human consciousness touched reality. Station harmony materialized around his ship, rather than him docking with it. One moment he was in space, the next he stood in a garden that couldn't possibly exist on a space station. General Chen waited for him by a fountain that flowed upward in spirals. "Commander Zorax," she greeted him. "Though I understand it's Professor Zorax now, you know why I'm here," he said without preamble. "You want to study us. Learn how we achieved what we have." Chen gestured for him to sit on a bench that formed from the air. "The question is, why should we let you?" "Because I can offer you something in return." Zorax produced a data crystal that glowed with inner light. The location of every transcendent artifact in the galaxy. Remnants left by species that walked your path before you. Chen took the crystal, examining it with senses that went beyond the physical. "You gathered all this just to trade with us?" "I gathered it because I believe humanity might be the key to something greater. Every species that transcended before you did so alone. They cut themselves off from the galaxy. But you're still here, still connected, still human despite becoming so much more. And you think we can find a different path? I think you already have." Zorax leaned forward, all 6 eyes focused on her. "General, my species has conquered worlds for millennia. We thought power came from weapons and fleets, but you showed us true power comes from within. I want to learn. My people want to learn." Chen stood and walked to the garden's edge, where reality thinned enough to see the cosmic web connecting all things. "The knowledge we have can't simply be taught, Professor. It must be experienced. Are your people ready for that?" "Some are, the young especially. They see what you've become and want to follow. It's not an easy path. Many who try to force their evolution are destroyed by it. We know the risks." Chen made a decision that would reshape the galaxy. "Very well. We'll establish an exchange program. Your people can come to Earth to study, to learn, but they must understand. This isn't about gaining power. It's about becoming more than you are." Word of the exchange spread quickly through the galaxy. Some species condemned it, fearing what would happen if the Dominion gained human abilities. Others begged to be included. The Galactic Council held emergency session after emergency session. On Earth, the first alien students arrived. They were quartered in specially designed facilities that could accommodate both their physical needs and the reality distortions that occurred around developing humans. One young Dominion warrior named Kelax was partnered with a human child named Amy. Amy was 8 years old and could reshape matter with her thoughts. Kelax was a hardened soldier who had never questioned orders in his life. "Why do you not conquer?" Kelax asked, during one of their sessions. "You have the power to rule the galaxy." Amy looked up from the flower she was transforming into a butterfly. "Why would we want to rule? That sounds boring. But power must be used. We are using it." Amy smiled as the butterfly took flight, its wings trailing stardust. "We're using it to make beautiful things, to help people, to explore what's possible. Isn't that better than conquering?" Kelax had no answer. In all his years of training, no one had ever suggested power could be used for anything but domination. As the weeks passed, more aliens arrived. The Science Collective sent researchers. The warrior clans sent their shamans. Even the isolationist Void Touched sent observers. Earth became a nexus of learning, a place where species set aside old conflicts to explore a new way of being. But not everyone was happy with the changes. In the dark spaces between stars, forces gathered. Species who saw humanity's transcendence as a threat, leaders who feared losing their power if their people evolved beyond the need for control. They formed a secret alliance, united by one goal: destroy Earth before humanity could spread its transformation to the rest of the galaxy. The attack came without warning. 1,000 ships appeared in Earth's system, using technology designed specifically to counter human abilities. Quantum scramblers to disrupt reality manipulation, consciousness dampeners to block mental powers, weapons that existed in dimensions humans couldn't perceive. Director Chen, The alert came as she taught a class of mixed-species students. "We're under attack. The shields aren't holding." Chen felt the assault on multiple levels. These weren't the crude weapons of the Dominion. These were tools designed by species who understood transcendence and feared it. "All citizens, this is Director Chen. We are under attack by forces that wish to stop our evolution. They think they can defeat us with technology." Her voice echoed in every human mind on Earth and beyond. Show them they're wrong. What happened next would be remembered for millennia as the moment humanity truly came into its power. Every human on Earth, from the most transcendent to the most mundane, joined their consciousness. Not in the raw display of power they had used against the Dominion, but in something far more profound. They reached out with understanding, with empathy, with the fundamental human ability to connect. The attacking fleet expected resistance. They expected reality-warping weapons and cosmic fury. They didn't expect what they got. Instead of fighting, the humans shared. They opened their minds and hearts to their attackers, showing them what transcendence really meant. Not power over others, but power over oneself. Not domination, but liberation. In the command ship of the attack fleet, Admiral Gorth felt human consciousness touch his mind. But it wasn't an attack. It was an invitation. He saw through human eyes, felt through human hearts. He experienced their journey from primitive apes to nascent gods, and understood that this evolution was not a threat, but a gift. One by one, the attacking ships powered down their weapons. Crews stood in wonder as they felt possibilities they had never imagined. Some wept at the beauty of it, others laughed at how foolish their fears had been. We surrender," Admiral Gorth broadcast, his voice thick with emotion. "No, we join you. Show us the way." General Chen appeared on every screen in the fleet, but also in the consciousness of every being present. There is no surrender here. No victors or vanquished. There is only the choice to grow. Will you make that choice? The answer was unanimous. In the aftermath, the galaxy changed forever. The attack had done something no diplomacy could have achieved. It had shown every species that humanity's path was not about domination but elevation. Earth became not a fortress but a school, not a threat but a promise. Species that had warred for millennia set aside their conflicts to learn together. The Galactic Council transformed from a political body to a guide for collective evolution, and at the center of it all, humans continued to do what they did best: push the boundaries of the possible. Professor Zorak stood with Director Chen in the Garden of Station Harmony, watching new students arrive from 100 different worlds. You knew this would happen, didn't you? The attack, the joining, all of it. Chen smiled. We hoped. Humans have always believed that understanding can overcome fear. We just had to help others see it too. And now? Now we grow together. The galaxy is vast, Professor. There are mysteries to solve, wonders to create, boundaries to transcend. And we're going to do it the human way, together. Years flowed like water. Decades became centuries. Humanity's influence spread not through conquest but through connection. Species evolved, transcended, became more than they were. The galaxy itself began to change, reality becoming more fluid, more responsive to conscious will. And through it all, humans remained human. They kept their sense of wonder, their empathy, their ridiculous optimism in the face of impossible odds. They had become gods, yes, but gods who still laughed, who still loved, who still looked at the universe with the excitement of children. The observers returned one last time to evaluate humanity's progress. They found Earth transformed beyond recognition, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Humans had spread throughout the galaxy, not as conquerors but as teachers, friends, companions on the journey of transcendence. You have succeeded where all others failed, the lead observer said to Chen, who now existed more as a concept than a person but somehow remained fundamentally herself. You achieved godhood without losing your humanity. That's because we never forgot the most important truth, Chen replied. We're not human because of what we are. We're human because of how we choose to be. And we choose to be together. The observer's form rippled with what might have been approval. The universe has waited a long time for a species like yours. The next phase of existence is opening. Will you lead the way? Chen looked out at the cosmos, seeing not empty space but infinite possibility. She felt the presence of billions of humans and trillions of other beings, all connected, all growing, all ready for whatever came next. We won't lead, she said, we'll explore it together. After all, we're humans. And humans are at their best when they're facing the impossible with friends by their side. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. You don't attack humanity's home. Not because they'll destroy you, but because they'll show you how much more you could be. They'll open your eyes to possibilities you never imagined. They'll turn your warriors into philosophers and your conquerors into creators. And in the end, you'll thank them for it. As the cosmos prepared for its next great adventure, one truth echoed through every star and every soul. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had done something far more powerful. They had taught it to transcend,